Okay, that completed that question. Question 8, real quick. Again, all these reports are on this website here. Last report is a Hermosa Beach strategic plan. So this was a consultant that we used to bring together the City Council over a number of years and develop. Here we have 16 bullet points basically for 2014. And within the bullet points, some of these have been completed. I won't name every one, but real quickly, for instance, the oil ballot measure, that was taken care of. Downtown core development, public safety, municipal carbon neutral action plan, general plan, local coastal plan. So within those 16, you can see it on the report if you're able to use this link. Within those 16, here is debate question 8. There are 16 action items listed in the policy and management agenda for 2014 for the city of Hermosa Beach. From those 16 actions, which ones will require more of your attention as a city council member? What direction would you give in order to implement what you want to be done? And that would be for Jeff.
Okay, well, thank you, Al. I guess first I'd say my job as city council member would be to work with this other council members in the community on the agreed upon top policies. But when asked to choose, I guess my top 6 would be long-term financial plan and debt policy. I know that was listed number 1. I think that's an important place to start. The public safety service and staffing study and late night action plan, and the capital improvement program and policy plan, because they all deal with services that all of our residents have a right to expect at the highest level possible. And then lastly, well, no, not lastly, but moving on next would be the Pacific Coast Highway Aviation Avenue Improvement Project. And in this project, I would add Cypress Avenue. I think it's time we do something. We don't ever talk about any of this stuff, and I guess I should say that PCH Aviation project has been in the works for far too long and going nowhere, and still is going nowhere in terms of Caltrans. That project is dead in the water, so we need to reinvigorate this. And then lastly, the blueprint for carbon low future would be among my top things, starting to move forward with what we say into what we actually do.
Thanks, Jeff. Trent?
Okay, I'll give you my top 7 in order. The first one would be the downtown core development and bringing in the hotel so that we get the revenue and the type of pier plaza that is more beneficial to Hermosa Beach so that we can begin to change that whole atmosphere downtown. Number 2 would be the Pacific Coast Highway and the aviation corridor, improving the businesses along there, beautification with Caltrans, and also business renovation and rejuvenation in the aviation corridor. 3 would be our school strategy, specific actions for rebuilding our schools to make this. We have 21st century schools in Hermosa Beach. There's no question we should have those. It's embarrassing that we don't. Number 4 would be our capital improvement policy. That would include roads, things like that, repairs, 8th Street, all of that. Then number 5 would be the late night action plan for down on the pier. Number 6 would be the business improvement district on Pier Plaza. They kind of go in conjunction with each other. And 7 would be the AES rebuild. I think that's a real lightning rod for the community, and everybody wants to see that, something done with that property, and Hermosa Beach needs a strong voice. We do have Stacy Armato on the commission. I think that's great. And I'll go back to what I said about, if we want open space there, that's going to cost money. And I think if we could somehow get a South Bay collaboration of the cities to publicly fund the purchase of that property, we'd go a long way to solving that problem.
Thanks, Trent. Pete?
Thank you. The priorities of 214 a lot of them are ongoing, and I know in this year we've already set new policies for 2015, so I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth between the two. I think the downtown core development on both of them is very important, as we've discussed here tonight. The municipal carbon neutral action plan is well underway. We bought new vehicles. we bought a new fire truck that's emission-free. We brought a new heavy piece of equipment for our beach, our Public Works Department that meets all the California standards for emissions. But one thing we have to realize is all of a sudden now Edison has decided that we're going to get charged $3 per kilowatt of installed capacity, which might put a damper on not only our solar plans, but residential plans for us to do that. But in talking about that, until we know the shape of our buildings, we shouldn't be bolting solar panels on the roofs. You wouldn't do that on your own home if you knew you had a leaky roof. We're on that way, but there's things that we need to do to make sure that comes to fruition, that we do put those on. But I want to remind everyone that the City of Redondo, the school had a bond for that technology, and they voted for 4 bond measures in that city to help their schools. So it's,
You can summarize, Pete?
yeah, and the other one is the undersea cable that is going to come to our community. That'll bring in approximately $3.5 million for the initial lease signing and $350,000 a year for the lease of per cable. 2 cables equals $700,000. We currently have one at 2nd Street that's been there 14 years, which brings us another approximately $350,000. That's almost $1 million
You can summarize, Pete?
in a carbon neutral business that no one even knows exists, and all we do is get a check every year for almost $1 million. And there's other businesses with that same undersea cable capacity that would like to come to our community. So thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Justin?
Well, I just want to briefly respond to the question, because the question was, what direction would you give to implement what you want to be done? And I think it just bears noting that the council sets law and policy, not individual council members. And with that in mind, I will work hard to find common ground with fellow council members and work to advance their and my compatible objectives. Governing is basically not a zero-sum game. Compromise is required to get things done, and we need to have that as one of our guiding principles. So with respect to what my top priorities are from this list of 16, it starts, number 1, with our capital improvement program and policy. For all the reasons we've discussed, we have over $100 million in capital projects that the City Council hasn't put a plan together to pay for. Downtown core development, after that. That's been on the books for a while. We need to move forward with it one way or the other. Comprehensive City Facilities Master Plan. As Pete just mentioned, in his mind, that's a stumbling block to getting solar panels up on our city roofs so we can stop sending money to Edison and start spending it here. Let's get it done. It's been on the agenda for years now. Finish it. 4th, the Municipal Carbon Neutral Action Plan. We're behind on our fleet conversion, and we frankly need to change that fleet conversion to eliminate conversion to natural gas vehicles and start going all electric. We haven't put a single solar panel on a city building, and we've been talking about it for 8 years, and nobody disputes that it's going to save us gobs of money. So if we can't put it on our city buildings because we might want to replace the roof in a few years, I get that. But let's put some on Lot C downtown, the parking garage. There are places we can put it. We don't need to have our ducks completely in a row with every building brand new with a new roof on it. And lastly, the general plan local coastal program. This is, again, a once-in-a-generation plan. We are long overdue for putting together a local coastal plan. Both of those things need to be priorities and brought home this year.
Thanks, Justin. Ken?
I listed 3 items as priorities. The downtown core development, I think that's going to take a fair amount of time. It's a big project with the hotel needs coming in and also needing to balance that with the residents. It's going to change the structure of the downtown area, and it needs to have the required attention given to it because it's going to be there for years and years. Number 2, public safety. As one of our goals, we said that we wanted to have Class A services. We need to make sure that we have things like more than the bare minimum for our fire department. We have 5 staffers on our fire department. I believe that's the bare minimum required by the state to have. That's not Class A services, in my opinion. and capital improvements, our police and fire departments and staff, they're moving into trailers. I see that as a problem. When I was on the EPAC commission, I had asked at the time, it wasn't our current city manager, it was Steve Burrell and the other staff at the time, what was the plan? What was the long-term plan for our police and fire departments in City Hall? There was none. That also is a problem. When we rebuild our infrastructure, we need to rebuild it, as I said before, with the most efficient building that we can build so that it gives back to the residents for decades. Putting solar panels on those, absolutely. Can't do it right now. The structures are in the process of being torn down. Agree though, like Justin said, any place that we could put it, happy to do that.
Okay, Ken, great.